Hello, everyone. Today we have with us Bassel joining us from Istanbul. He will cover Middle East and Africa. And as usual, Uday will cover South Asia. Unfortunately, Paul is not joining us today. He's busy with one of our clients. So over to you, Uday. Can you please whiz through Southeast Asia for us?
Sure, Bhargav. So in Jakarta, Indonesia, Islamists under the 212 Alumni Brotherhood are going to protest in Jakarta on December 2nd. This is the anniversary of the December 2nd, 2016 protest that they've been holding every year. And they're trying to essentially maintain relevance at this point because the government has clamped down on them. In other news in Southeast Asia, Thailand's authorities in Thailand are working with U.S. authorities to crack down on a major gang network involved in making counterfeit U.S. dollars in the country. They seized printing machines and over 45,000 counterfeit U.S. dollar bills, $100 denomination bills. If we move over to Australia and the Pacific Islands, situation in Solomon Islands seems like it's calming down a bit. The central bank of the Solomon Islands said the recent unrest has caused at least 28 million USD 28 million worth of losses to the economy, and there's widespread buildings and infrastructure damage in Honiara. While the Chinese embassy in the Solomon Islands has also called on Chinese nationals to improve security measures following the unrest in the capital. Bhargav, I'm just going to quickly go over to South Asia and then talk about the most pressing issue in the region. So, if we go over to South Asia, 11 people were killed in poll-related violence across Bangladesh over the weekend. This was to do with the Union Council, the third phase of the Union Council elections, and clashes occurred across the country. And students' protests have continued in Dhaka. We talked about that last Friday, so that's been covered. So the biggest issue in South Asia and the EAP region is the travel restrictions after the emergence of the Omicron variant of COVID-19. We have issued a report on this specifically for this today, but basically we're seeing restrictions from South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. So countries are closing down travel, they're enacting restrictions, and this is the most disruptive thing to businesses at the moment. I think that's it from me, Bhargav.
Thank you, Uday. Bassel, can you cover off on Middle East and Africa?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Bhargav. We have over 37 developments in the EMEA region today. In Syria, at least 2 people were killed and 5 others were injured in an explosion in the Aleppo province. However, no group claimed responsibility for the attack. In Yemen, fighting continued between the Saudi-led Arab coalition and the Houthi rebels. The Saudi-led Arab coalition launched several airstrikes in the Marib and Jufi province. At least 200 Houthi rebels were killed. If we go over to Southern Africa, in South Africa, at least 5 gang members labeled as most wanted by security forces were arrested yesterday in Heidelberg. They were detained on charges of robberies between January 2021 and October 2021 due in Johannesburg. Also in sub-Saharan Africa, in Angola, Angola announced border closures with 7 African countries and especially South Africa over the new COVID-19 variant Omicron. The decision will take effect in December 1. If we go also to Burkina Faso, the government lifted the internet suspension over widespread demonstration across the country. The prominent issue today was in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Fighting continued between the Lendo and Hema communities. The Kodiko militia, which is concerned with the Lendo community, attacked a displaced camp for refugees in the Ituri province. At least 25 people were killed. In Nigeria, there were several security threats and security arrangements. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency seized around 12,000 kilograms of illegal cannabis that was smuggled through the waterways of Lagos. and the Department of State Services heightened security concerns in Ogun State over planned Boko Haram terrorist attacks. Over to you, Bhargav.
Thank you, Bassel. So in Europe, starting from the north, in United Kingdom, rail unions announced a protest outside the Parliament building in Westminster on the December 1st. The aim of the planned protest is to demand more funding for Transport for London. Transport for London is very often hit by strikes and protests by the union members. And the primary union here is Rail, Maritime and Transport Union, and they will be participating actively in this protest. And another issue is that of Extinction Rebellion protests aimed at Amazon at 13 different locations. And this is aimed at Black Friday event where the deliveries will be pretty high given the discounts being offered. Another issue in Europe is that of far right, especially in France. About 200 people were gathered to demonstrate against the far right party in Paris yesterday. The far right issue keeps raising its head now and then across Europe, and this time it's in France. Though Marine Le Pen was defeated by Macron in the last elections, but she came very close, and they can't be written off at the moment. And other issues in Europe include some of the COVID-19 restrictions which are going up, and there were some protests in Italy regarding the COVID-19 Green Pass in Milan. So that's pretty much it in Europe. Any final words to say, Bassel or Uday?
Not for me, Bhargav. I think even in Europe, are you seeing some of the travel disruptions and all of that across the region?
Yes. Countries like the UK have already banned flights and they have restricted travel to southern Africa, not just South Africa, but other countries in southern Africa as well, including Botswana, Mozambique, and Namibia. So the restrictions are likely to increase across the world, and most probably the targets will be countries in southern Africa.
Yeah, COVID's here with us to stay then for a while.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Vaccination rates are just not enough at the moment.
That is true, and especially in countries like India, wherein despite all the claims by the government of reaching certain hundreds of thousands of vaccinated people, I do not think it is going to be enough anytime soon. And with that, it's a wrap from us. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Uday and Bassel.